Hey everybody, welcome to another one. In this one, I have my wife, Kat, come to the studio and mix a song with me. Now, she's heard thousands of mixes that I've done. She's always had interesting takes on them, so I want to see what her instincts are when I get her in here and sit her in front of a mix. Now, I'm going to help her out a little bit. She clearly doesn't know how to use the software. I'm not trying to make her look bad in this situation, but rather see where her instincts go. Now, if you guys like this music and you want to get your hands on it, go to the Patreon. All the tracks will be available there for you to play with and mix yourself. Everybody above the Buy Me a Coffee level. And real quick, if you like this type of stuff, hit the like button and consider hitting the subscribe button, because I have this crazy pipe dream of getting to that 50,000 subs mark, and we're on our way slowly but surely. But this one's a fun one. I hope you guys enjoy this one as much as we had fun filming it. So let's get straight into it with me and my wife, Kat. How long have we been married?
Almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years. How long have I been doing this stuff? Mixing, producing.
I mean, more than that.
More than that. So you should have a pretty good working knowledge of how to do it.
No.
Recording
101 was a long time ago.
Which we did go to college together and we took that course. I don't know if it was together, but you did take a basics in recording course.
I know how to patch.
So what I have here is a song. It's a 3-piece band, but I want to see what your instincts are when it comes to mixing. Obviously, there's going to be stuff you don't know how to do or you don't know how to explain. Mm-hmm. So I'm here to kind of do that translation for you, but I want to see where you take it.
Okay.
I think this would be an interesting experiment in, like, what do you want to do with something? How would you communicate that? And then if you had somebody who actually knew how to use the software with you, what then could you do?
This is going to be interesting because I'm so used to being the one that hears it at the end and says, hey, it's missing this, but I have no idea how to do it or how to fix it or how to translate it.
That's the girlfriend test. Or wife now, I guess.
I'll still call it girlfriend. It's fine.
Okay. First off, do you know how to control any of this?
I mean, I know to use the mouse to click on stuff.
Okay.
And I know Control-Z is undo.
Well, you're on a Mac, so Command-Z.
Yeah, that.
So go ahead and hit the space bar and you're going to hear everything. And I'm going to make sure it's running. So obviously you've got all these tracks labeled in front of you, generally speaking. Exactly how you'd get them if you were on the Patreon. So go subscribe if you want to mix these too. Link in the description. But just hearing it real quick, what instruments did you hear? What do you think you have to work with here?
Oh, like all together, everything I heard? No clue yet. I know I heard a lot of bass come in really strong when it came in. I heard some drums, obviously. I assume there is a lead guitar or an acoustic guitar.
There's one guitar player.
Okay. So
He's
just
also the singer.
Okay. What guitar is he playing, though?
Electric.
Okay. So there's electric guitar, a bass, drums, and key. Are there keys?
Just a 3-piece.
3-piece. Got it.
So things that you would be told if you were mixing this, and I guess I'll give you that much because it's only fair.
Okay.
Are the guitar player electric, he's recording stereo. So that means he's using 2 amps, but the same performance. And a lot of times when somebody tells you that, you know, okay, there's stereo effects, so I have to make this stereo. Right now, I just imported this, so everything is right up the middle. Everything, like all the pans, are at 0. So everything is straight up the middle.
Okay.
So use that to your advantage. Use levels to your advantage. With bass, these tracks right here, the bass DI, bass noble, bass cab, all of those are bass.
Okay.
You don't have to use all of those. And then with the drums, you've got kick in, kick out. That's very typical. Snare top, snare bottom, hi-hat mic, tom, overheads, a room close, a room far, and a trash mic.
Wow.
So you can use whatever you want. You can get rid of whatever you want. And then, of course, vocals. I would leave those till the end. That's how I approach it. But because there's problems to solve with the vocals that aren't really problems you need to solve anywhere else. So what's the first thing you'd like to do?
Oh, my goodness. So then I would assume I would start with the panning so that I can hear things clearly and it doesn't sound muddy and all mushed together, and then go from there with levels.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
let's take a look at drums.
Okay.
How would you pan just drums?
So are all the drums going to be in one location, or can you put like the kick in the center and like a tom to the right, hi-hat to the left, something like that?
What would you like to do?
Probably something like that, because in my brain, if all the drums were in the middle all together, it would just feel muddy.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume put the kick in the middle.
Mm-hmm. You've got kick in the middle. What would you do with snare?
I'd probably put snare either just barely left or barely right.
Okay. There's your mouse.
Man, this thing is crazy looking. Yeah, but you have to be able to read it. Where's the snare?
Right there.
This one?
Snare top. Yep.
Okay. Just for reference, it says 3SNA top. I would not know what that is.
Sna top maha.
Sna top and maha. Okay. Next, you're going to have to tell me how to pan it.
It's just you're right on the pan. So click and you would drag where you want it.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So probably there-ish. Okay. And then snare bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Would it make sense to keep them in the same spot, or should they be like opposite?
I would think so, because snares exist in the same position.
Okay. That's fair. All right. Hi-hat, I'd probably put on the other side.
Other side. Think about how do you see a drum kit?
A drum kit? Well,
Where's the center of the drum kit?
it's the kick and the snare.
Okay.
So
Did
should
you
I
put your snare in the center?
No.
Do you want it in the center?
I didn't until you said that. So
That's what helps with me. Think about what the center of the kit is
okay.
to me.
So then should I leave the snare where it was?
Whatever
Halfway off center?
I guess that depends if you're thinking the snare is the center.
Let's just try it and see what happens.
Okay.
Okay.
But right now you have snare top in the center and snare bottom on the side.
That's where I wanted it.
Okay.
Okay. And then, so for me, I'm thinking of spreading out the kit.
Mm-hmm.
So then the tom might go on the other side.
Okay.
Okay.
So you have tom 1 right there.
Mm-hmm. And then tom 2 is the second one, right? Not a second mic. It's the second tom.
Right.
So
you have those on the same side?
I did.
I mean, if you're thinking about setting a drum kit, rack tom over here, floor tom over here.
Drummer. I don't know where they are. I know there's a stack of drums in front of somebody that hits them. That's what I know.
Now, I like your instincts here. One thing you're doing, you look like you're putting an audience perspective, which is totally fine. I can tell you the overheads are not audience perspective,
Okay.
so I'm going to flip those for you and kind
Okay.
of help you out here.
That'd be fun.
There you go.
Okay.
Continue with your thoughts.
Oh, dear. Okay. This is the close room.
Room close, and then room far, and then trash. I would keep those center.
Okay.
Those are not.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're on to. So what's the difference in the three
The
bass tracks?
bass was kind of an experiment. So
Okay.
one of those has a DI.
Okay. So that's a
actually-
direct input. Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Then there's another DI that was after his pedal board. I didn't use that one. That's the
Okay.
Noble, so I didn't use that one at all.
So is it muted?
It can be. There you go. And then bass cab was actually miking that cab. So you can use a combination.
So you
of
could
a
either
DI.
use the direct input into the board or the mic'd speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Or one or the other, or both. You know.
So you could potentially use both and split it. I don't know if that would be beneficial.
I wouldn't do that because any low end frequency, low end energy, you typically want centered because a speaker
Okay.
that's going to put a lot of stress on one side and a whole lot of
That
energy
makes
on one
sense.
side.
Okay.
Low frequency stuff you want.
So
close
should
to
we just
center.
put both of them center and then we could like play
Mhm.
with if we like one muted or not?
They already are. You're good.
They're already centered. Okay. Okay. So then I would assume put guitar on one side, keys on the other.
There's no keys. So you have two guitars, but you see how they're labeled EG-L, EG-R? So
So should I just put one left and right?
that's what I would do.
Okay.
That's kind of in a normal position if you're mixing something you didn't track. That's typically them telling you like, hey, this goes over here.
Okay. So just from the only knowledge I have of panning things for my own ears would be in, my ears when I'm singing and how I want to hear a
Church, yeah.
band. Yeah. And so right now, the only thing we've really panned is the drums
No, you did guitars as well. But I mean,
on either side.
mm-hmm. But go ahead and take a listen and
Okay.
see the difference now.
Okay. That already sounds less muddy
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like that's one of the first things that I heard when we hit play the first time was it just sounded jumbled.
Let's go to a bigger section so you
Okay.
can hear the snare.
Does it bother you that it's like right there?
Kind of.
Yeah. You're like, that's not how I would do
I'm
it.
not opposed to you panning the snare. What is bugging me is that it's contrary to the position of everything else. So you're doing an audience perspective if you're looking at a drum kit. And if you're looking at the drum kit, that snare is going to be over here, not over there.
Okay.
So if you want it panned, I would pan it to the other side.
Okay, that's fine.
Roughly the same numbers you had.
Perfect. All right.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's next?
I guess checking levels on each thing. What's louder than something else?
Okay.
So would you typically want to test that in a loud area and a soft area?
One thing I would do at this point is I would do bussing like things to make everything simpler for me.
What is a bus?
So if we have all of our drums selected over here, what I can do is hit move to new folder and then make it a routing folder and then call this drums. So what's going to happen is
that way you can adjust them all at the same time?
Exactly.
Got it.
So now all of your drums are in this. They're in that one space. So if you want to do something
if I were in Photoshop, I've just chosen multiple images and grouped them together, and now I can move them together.
Exactly.
Got it.
So let's just keep this simple. We'll do the same thing to the bass.
With the 2 tracks that we're using, right?
Yeah, I'm going to put all 3 of them in there, but your one that's muted will still stay muted. And I will do the same thing with the guitars.
Okay.
Okay, so you have all like things
I see
grouped.
what you did.
And I'm going to change the colors.
That was going to be my next question. Can we color code it?
Okay, important question. What color are your drums?
I probably would have them blue.
Blue. Interesting. Okay. Is that a blue?
Mm-hmm. Sure. It's a blue.
Whatever. Guitars.
Green.
All right. Somebody raised you right. So now you can kind of see you can navigate things easier. Stuff's a little easier to manage. So you want to play with levels on this stuff. You can go to another view here where you have your folders.
Okay.
All of your individual tracks, and you can kind of see a little better. So listen to it from here.
I mean, it sounds pretty good. Because in a thing like this, obviously you want the electric guitar to stand out because that's got the lead line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what I would say, I'd probably turn the bass up a touch.
Okay.
It seems a little buried.
Okay.
But it sounds pretty good otherwise.
So on that, I'm going to introduce a concept here.
Okay.
Let's go with a compressor because it's going to do kind of what you're talking about. Rather than just turning up the bass, bass is inherently a dynamic instrument. There's soft things happening. There's loud things happening all the time.
Okay.
So this is a pretty easy to use bass compressor.
Okay.
So what you have is like low end compression here. It's just going to grab onto the low end. And then you have the whole thing compression.
Okay.
This middle dial is saturation. You don't necessarily have to worry about that, but you can play with it if you want.
Does that say grunt?
It does.
Okay.
It's going to give the... You want me to show you like...
Yeah, let's play with it. So you just soloed the bass track and now we're going to play with it?
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's doing much when you turn it, but watch when I bypass it.
Okay.
You feel that?
Yeah.
Then if you're listening on a phone, you're not going to feel that. But what she felt was the low end in the room. Like, what did you feel?
It was more rumbly.
Yeah. Okay. Very consistent, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's compressing the low end to make it present. No matter what the bass is doing, it's going to keep that low end penned.
Okay.
And this is going to do like the whole thing. So again, with and without it. You feel how it like brought it like right here? And then if you want to get granular, you could even control the amount of low end with this. And and then this is just overall level. But the glue and grunt is types of saturation.
Yeah, I want to see what that is.
It's very subtle.
Yep.
It's very subtle. What it does for me, I use grunt when I want it to pop out of a mix, and glue when I want it to like glue things together.
Okay. What I was noticing with the low, that's that like get you in your chest feeling. Like when you're listening to a song and it's like, that's what that was coming from. Okay.
And I feel like in a mix like this, you can take it one of two ways. You can try to be careful with it, or you can just go crazy with it.
Now, did the artist give any type of reference tracks of what they want, or are you just mixing for style?
Just whatever you want.
Okay.
So, now knowing that,
what we just did you save it, or were you just showing me what it did?
no, it's still there.
That's what I thought. Because I could definitely tell the difference in it. I like that better, and it definitely makes it stand out more. Okay, hang on. Yeah, because for what this song is, I don't think it needs that like, bull, 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 like that gets you in your gut. You definitely wanted to hear it more. Because before it just kind of dun, 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 like it was a dainty bass rhythm, bass line. Okay, I like the bass better.
Okay.
Okay, so let me listen for some other things here. Let's put it in a different spot in the song. Or should you just stick in one spot?
No, whatever you want to do.
Okay, put it before that.
Okay.
I really like it.
Just like this?
I don't have a lot to say with it. Like, I like the instrumental part. I also think when you have really good instrumentalists and studio players, you shouldn't have to do a whole lot with it.
Sure.
You know, because when you get to the panning and you get where it feels good, you know, then you've got that natural vibe that they were going for.
Let me show you some ideas, because there are certain amounts of like commercial viability that you have to take into account. Loudness that you have to take into account, because if we just pop this up, it's not going to be as competitive as some other things that they may be going against. So right off the bat, let me show you basically the same thing we did with the bass on the drums. So
to do a compressor?
Pulling up just a super easy compressor on these drums. And I want you to turn these dials and to not be afraid of them. So play with decorate and compress. And those are the only two you're going to play with.
Decorate?
Decorate is Billy Decker.
Got it.
So you just kind of go up and down here.
Okay.
And play with those. And I want to see what you think in the moment.
Do I just play it and then mess with it? Oh, yeah, that makes a big difference.
Some of that is louder is better for you. Like you're hearing it louder, so you're going to perceive it as better. But I basically use this plugin at that setting.
All the way up?
Almost all the way up, yeah.
Decorate or both?
Compress is normally pretty hot too. But this is where you're going to run into one thing with the way you've panned your snare off to the side. This is a stereo
get over
compressor.
That snare.
Well, this is where you can potentially run into issues. If you still want it panned, that's fine. Let's bring it at least closer in than your toms.
Okay.
So I'm going to just bring it in a little bit for you here.
AKA right in the middle.
No, it's not right in the middle. It's still 10. So now take a listen.
You heard the vocal bleed. I was like, what was that?
That's why it's performed in the same room.
Sure.
So one thing to keep in mind, I'm hearing a ton of room there. So if we just get rid of the rooms altogether, here's what that sounds like. kind of boring. This is with the room close. This was just a mic over the drummer's head.
Okay.
I'll bring in the trash mic. This is just it's trashy. Just room far. This is the one.
Sure.
So that, if you're compressing this hard, it's going to bring up stuff like that. And you may like it, you may not. Just letting you know what those sounds you're hearing are.
So which one makes it, is it the far that gives it that like, that real ambient sound?
Uh-huh. So check it out. If I pull that out and I'll...
Turn it back
So that's without it, and I'll slowly bring it back up.
Okay.
So what do you think? Do you want it? Do you want less of it?
I wanted less of it.
Yeah.
When I first was like, what's the one that does that? It was because I wanted less of it.
Here, I'll put it at 0. You decide where you want it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's a very workable drum sound. You could go further than this. You could stop right there.
Well, and I can see how so much of it is just, what do you want it to sound like? Because here, we're sitting here deciding what we think sounds good. But, you know, the band might want it to be like, no, we want it a little more gruff or more, you know, whatever.
Gruff. That's a mixed note I've never gotten. I wanna show you one thing. It's kind of along the lines of gating, which you've heard in a church context, I'm sure. So this is not traditionally a gate plugin, but it actually works really well.
I don't actually understand what a gate is.
So I'll show you here. Let me go.
Okay.
I'm gonna loop a part of the tom here. So you hear everything around the tom as well as the tom itself. Now this dynamics knob right here, if I put it all the way down, check it out now.
Oh. Wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah, and the reason I like this one is because you also have like a tone knob here. So that tom feels kind of like there's a blanket on it a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you take like, and then you have like low end as well. So do you want to play with those?
Wow, it's like you changed the complete sound of the drum.
Plugins.
Plugins, man. Okay, so I tend to like this one bright.
Okay. I mean,
high.
That's valid.
Okay,
You're trying to pull out the stick attack of the tom.
Ooh, I like that one.
Okay. Now, one thing to consider, maybe treating your toms similarly. So what happens if you then copy this over to your other tom? Now listen to both of these in context, but now you're controlling the floor tom. Let me get you to a section where both are playing here.
Okay.
So this is now the floor tom's plug-in.
Mix. Okay.
But you can hear both of them together. So just hearing that, do you want to adjust anything on the floor tom? Okay.
I like how I panned them though, because it's like.
So now listen to it without the plugin you just did. Yeah.
Wow.
So you can see how like we're doing a lot to that sound, but
without doing a lot.
Right. Like we're gating it and we're EQing it. So if we don't gate it, we're also EQing everything around that tom. So
That's
different schools of thought. So now that you've done that with the toms, do you want to try that same thing with the snare?
The gate?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's pull up a new instance of it. This is Saturn 2. So I'll let you play with the dynamics knob and then the tone knob on this snare.
Okay. And
typically, you wouldn't get too surgical just listening in solo, but I want you to hear what's happening. So, here you go.
So now, was it the dynamics that you said would take out the other sounds? Okay.
Interesting. I like everything you did, except you killed my soul with the low end. This is your thing. I'm gonna let you drive. That could just be a really well-recorded snare.
Yeah.
So here is your drum sound.
I dig it.
Yeah.
That ain't bad.
There's a lot you can do with this one plugin. It's kind of crazy. So you have next thing I would do is listen to the relationship between drums and bass.
Okay. So it sounds like the kick and the bass are fighting each other.
In what way?
Like they're both very rumbly.
Both very rumbly. Okay. What would you do to stop them fighting?
Potentially make the bass brighter. I don't know exactly what that looks like.
Okay. Let me give you a little tool here.
This tool brought to you by
another FabFilter plugin. Because these are generally very easy. And this is like an EQ style and shape that you know. So you have very high range up here, very low. Because this is basically an EQ. And then in the the mid range where the bass is gonna live, like that presence factor is gonna be like right in here.
Okay.
So with that in mind, all you do is you click and you drag.
Got it.
And you can do that as many times as you want with this plugin. It's kind of cool. As long as you're on that line and you click, it'll make a thing for you. So let's go back to default. Have fun. So she said she's trying to hear the difference. Right now, you're pretty high for a bass instrument.
Okay.
Normally, where you're going to hear differences is going to be down here for bass.
Okay.
There is top end in a bass that's higher than that.
Yeah.
But where you're going to hear, I think what you're going for is like around this area.
That's fine.
Try it.
This is the first part that I'm like.
Try this. I think you'll hear it.
Okay, let's try. I don't know what I'm doing. So
that's okay. So something that you could probably take a look at too is using this EQ as kind of a guide. So one thing this plugin lets you do is that you have an RTA, a real-time analyzer, I think is what that's called. You can see the EQ curve of whatever you have pulled up. So right now this is on the kick drum. So you can see the low fundamental of the kick drum is 47.
Okay.
So we're not EQing anything on the kick. We just use that to pull it up just to take a look-see. So if you come over here. So one thing you could do is in that same general spot, that like 47, 50-ish spot, you can carve this out. So now the low end of let me bypass it. You can hear the low end like start fighting again.
This is where you start to get where your ears are very fine-tuned.
Well,
and
this is one of those like super subtle things right here, but in the context of a mix, and then once you start compressing that mix, makes a huge difference.
I believe you.
This is one of those long game moves.
Yep.
There's protecting the low end and picking what things you want to be pervasive in the low end to make your job so much easier later. So with that in mind, let's start compressing the snot out of the mix bus, and you'll start to hear these differences go crazy.
Gross.
Are you still having fun?
Oh, yeah. You just started to lose me a little bit in EQ land. That looks like a video game.
So this is generally where I have this set. So what this is now kind of called is top-down mixing. So we generally have our final bus that everything's going through right here. It has a compressor on it, a limiter, and now everything you do is going into that.
Sure. It's like a big filter.
Yeah, exactly. And everything funnels down to this last spot. This is what makes it loud and competitive.
Okay.
I mean, there's another step of mastering, but I do a lot of mastering, so sometimes my mixes are kind of mastered.
Okay.
In general, this is what I like to do for mixing, but it kind of helps you inform some decisions later. So, listening back to everything, what's your next move here?
Well, we haven't done anything with the guitar yet.
Do you need to?
I don't know. Okay, hang on. I don't know all my options. I think it sounds good. And I think it jumps out in the mix the way it needs to. So I don't know that it needs anything, but I also don't know what all you would do to it.
I can tell you in a situation like this, I wouldn't do much to the guitar. I could show you what I would do, and that just goes along the line of like protecting that low end thing. Mm-hmm. And this is hotly debated. I would high pass, so I'm cutting the low end out of the guitar to let the bass and kick.
Oh, so you just completely get rid of the low end?
Well, up to like 100 hertz. So there's not much guitar down there. And then what I do is I low pass, like to get rid of the fizz of the instrument. So you can see, like, it generally wants to do that anyway, and all I'm doing is getting rid of anything extraneous.
Got it.
So it's more housekeeping. It's not really doing a ton. Mm-hmm. That's probably all I would do with this guitar.
It's like knocking the dust off.
Exactly. That's like all I would do with this guitar. Okay. So then you're left with one thing, the vocal.
My favorite part.
In this road, and I don't know which way to go. Where I've been searching for years, and I can't seem to find my home.
I don't even know. What all do you do with it?
What? Do you remember what we did with the toms and the snare?
Yes. With the gate? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you kind of hear that same problem here?
Yes, there's a lot of bleed.
So there's a couple ways to fix that. You can physically cut it out and like do what's called strip silence. In this context where it's live, I don't want to do that. No. Because that would be like coming in and literally like cutting out everything right before.
Yeah, no.
So then you end up with ambience jumping in.
Yeah, no.
Like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm traveling.
Right. Like it's gonna solve your problem when the vocal's not happening, but you're gonna end up with these issues.
No, that'd be weird.
Later. So there's one plugin I've found that'll do this, and I don't like that I'm leaning so hard on this company to do it, but so turn this knob towards voice and just play with this and see what it does.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go. Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go. To find my home.
Wow.
I don't know of another plugin that can do that.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's very CPU intensive, but
what's CPU?
It's gonna take a lot of computer to do it.
Oh, got it.
So that gave you basically way more of the vocal.
Oh yeah.
So now you can do things like EQ that vocal. Mm-hmm. You can compress that vocal. You can put effects on that vocal, and you're not doing it to everything in the room.
Yep.
So that's a huge first step for me. And then,
so once you do that dial, it saves it.
Yeah.
It knows that you've already done that to it.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's other things to do. So if you're looking to do the same thing, do your homework. You can use this if you want, but I'm sure there's other plugins. It's a Waves plugin, and Waves isn't on my popular list right now.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Next, do you remember what we did with the bass, where we kind of controlled the dynamic range? I would look there.
Okay.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm driving the ship.
Well, if you've never been taught how to drive a ship, you're going to need a tutor.
I'm going to give you another, easy compressor, just so you can see this.
Okay.
So this is basically your compressor right here. The more you pull this down, the more it's going to compress that vocal.
Okay.
So I'll play the vocal in context, and you pull that down till you're happy. Okay.
And I don't know which way to go. been searching for years, and I can't seem to find my home.
Probably somewhere in there.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And you also have another gate here because now you're compressing, so it's going to bring up the level of everything. So watch this gate, see if you can figure out what's happening.
Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go.
Like it's getting close to clipping?
It's not clipping, it's basically showing you what's coming in. So what you can see is the level of ambience, the drum kit, and the level of his vocal. Now what that gate is going to allow you to do, it's going to turn everything off below a certain thing. So if you can see where his vocal's at, and you can see where the drums are at, if you set that gate in between those two things, it'll get rid of that background noise even more.
Wow.
So go ahead and play with it.
Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go. Yeah, I'm traveling this road.
Yeah, perfect. So now if you listen in solo even more, you have a more controlled vocal.
Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So now, like, the thing I would think of now that you have things controlled is there anything annoying in his voice?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go. Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go.
I don't think so. It's a little bright,
Okay.
but I don't know that that's bad.
What sticks out to me is when he goes, traveling this road, don't know which way to go.
Oh, okay.
Like,
So the diction
yeah, and
or enunciation.
one of the things that can smooth that out is called a de-esser.
Okay.
So let's just get I'm going to set this to just male. And what you can do is bring this threshold down and then see how it affects those S's.
Okay.
Well, I've been searching for years, and I can't seem to find my home. Yeah, look over yonder, baby. Tell me what you see.
This is another one of those for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go. Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go.
That's okay. I would leave it in.
I do not hear what you hear, sir.
That's fine. The only other thing to think of here generally is, do you want something like spicy on this vocal? Like an effect?
Okay. Probably not.
No? Okay.
What would you do?
What would I do? I think a slap delay would be really cool.
Yeah. Let me just whip that out my back pocket.
I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go.
So I think something to pop the vocal out and give it like some side energy would just be just so nice.
So nice.
So I'm going to send this to an aux, and then I'm going to pull up like an echo boy. And let's go to like a slap.
So when you say slap, what do you mean? I know we're going to hear it, but how do you describe a slap on a vocal?
I don't know that there's a good way to... Here, just listen.
Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go.
Okay, so to me, that's almost like you have one of those thunder strips and you're going...
Oh, yeah, okay. I buy that. I'll buy that.
Okay.
But what I want to do, I want to switch this to dual because I want two of them going.
Yeah, look over yonder, baby. Tell me what you see.
Okay, play it with everything.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn that all the way down, and then I'm going to let you bring it up until you like it.
So that's just the effect?
Just the effect.
Okay.
Right here.
Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go. Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go. Yeah, I've been searching for years, and I can't seem to find my home. Yeah, look over yonder, baby.
I like it there. Because, like, it's kind of there, but you don't want it to be like, wow, 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 wow.
Yeah. And I mean, that's generally everything. The last thing to do is what I listen with the speakers super quiet, and you can hear, like, things pop out if they're too loud.
And listen to everything?
Yeah, play it one more time.
Yeah, I'm traveling this road, and I don't know which way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job. You mixed the song.
It's mixed?
Pretty much, yeah.
Cut, print, move to copy. All done.
I mean, the thing to think about here is mixing is so subjective,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 100 different ways you could do this. By the way, if you want to do this, go to the Patreon because the files will be there for you. Anywhere above the Buy Me a Coffee level. But, I mean, it was interesting to see what your instincts were with this, and they weren't far off. Most of the time when you were leveling stuff, it's almost exactly where I would put things. Especially this was like spot on, I think, where my mix was.
I saw your face. You were like, whoa. Good job, wife.
Yeah, where you settled with this was really good. Like, there's so much of it that's like maybe you don't know the tools to use or what to say you want, but you know what sounds good.
You'll hear it.
Yeah.
Like you instinctively know what it is once you hear it.
Yeah. Like, so just getting in there and messing with it is huge because you're like, you want to stop once it sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Okay, let's
trusting
hear
your
it
gut.
all together.
Yeah.
Not on quiet speakers.
You want loud?
Well, yeah.
My wife.
Yeah, I'm traveling this road and I don't know which way to go. Yeah, I'm traveling this road and I don't know which way to go.
I think we did right by them. It sounds really good.
Good job.
The only thing that I'm curious about when the bass first comes in, it's almost like it needs to fade in. Is that an option? Like it comes in super strong.
Yeah.
So like if it
Where
can,
at?
when it very first comes in,
Like right here.
bam. So like, is there a way to kind of like fade that in?
Yeah. So we would get rid of this stuff here and then.
That I remember there being a little.
So wherever you want that fade to happen, then you'd press F.
Mm-hmm.
And now you should have like a slower fade.
Go a little farther with it, where it has that first big hit.
Look at you.
Do it again.
Right here?
That one, yep. Now do it.
Whatever makes you happy, man. I love it. Cool. You mixed your first song.
Well, that's cool. Now, when are you coming to work with me?
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Did you learn anything?
Yes, and it also brought back a lot of what I did know.
Does it make more sense what I do every day now?
Yeah. I know what you do. It's definitely one of those, you know all the ins and outs, and I can just listen to it.
But now you know more.
Now I know more.
All right.
I'll have to give you that high five now.
There you have it. She didn't do too bad for not really knowing how to communicate anything she wanted, and just sitting there, it was really interesting her instincts and where she would stop compression settings and where she set the reverb. It was basically where I would have it. The snare bothered me. The snare did bother me, I will say that much. But again, guys, if you want those files, they will be available to all the patrons above the Buy Me a Coffee level. Head on over there. I'll put a link down in the description. Thank you for the support. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.